Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. So today I'll just be continuing with what I had been reading before, which is Ajahn Geoff's translation of the Ajahn Chah talk in the shape of a circle. And I happen to be reading from this collection of Ajahn Chah talks entitled Still Flowing Water, and I'll be continuing on page 126. I once read in a Jataka tale about our Buddha when he was still a bodhisattva. He was like you. He had ordained and encountered a lot of difficulties. But when he thought of disrobing, he was ashamed of what other people would think, that he had ordained all these years and yet still wanted to disrobe. Still, things didn't go the way he wanted, so he thought he'd leave. He came across a squirrel whose baby had been blown into the ocean by the wind. He saw the squirrel running down to the water and then back up again. He didn't know what it was doing. It ran down to the water and stuck its tail in the water, and then ran up to the beach and shook out its tail. Then it ran down and stuck its tail in the water again. So he asked it, "What are you doing?" "Oh, my baby has fallen into the water. I miss it and want to fetch it out." "How are you going to do that?" "I'm going to use my tail to bail out water out of the ocean until it's dry so that I can fetch my baby out." "Oh-ho, when will the ocean ever go dry?" "That's not the issue. This is the way it is with the practice. You keep bailing out the water, and don't care whether it ever goes dry. When you're going to be a Buddha, you can't abandon your efforts." When the Bodhisattva heard this, it flashed in his heart. He got up and pushed through with his efforts. He didn't retreat. That's how he became the Buddha. It's the same with us. Wherever things aren't going well, that's where they will go well. You make them happen where they aren't yet happening. Wherever you're deluded, that's where knowledge will arise. If you don't believe me, spit right here. That'll make it dirty. But when you wipe it away, it'll be clean right here, right where it's dirty. It won't become clean out there in the grounds of the monastery. Keep coming back to the same place over again. Ajahn Tongrat once said to me, "Cha, drill the hole right in line with the dowel." That's all he said. I had just started practicing and didn't understand what he was saying. "If it comes low, jump over its head." That's what he said. "If it comes high, slip under it." I didn't know what he was saying, so I went off to meditate and kept contemplating it. Actually, he was telling me how to solve my problems. Drill the hole right in line with the dowel means, wherever the problem arises, contemplate right there. Wherever you're deluded, contemplate right there. If you're attached to a sight, contemplate the sight, right around, right there. That's what it means. Drill the hole right in line with the dowel. Don't go drilling far away. Drill right there at the dowel. It's the same when we step on a thorn. You take a needle and probe right where the thorn is. Don't go probing anywhere else. Probe right where the thorn is stuck in your foot. Even if it hurts, you have to endure it. Keep probing all around it and try to pry it out. That's how you get the thorn out. If the thorn is stuck in your foot, but you go probing around your rear. When will you ever be done with it? So I contemplated this. Oh, teachers meditate in line with the language of their own minds. They don't go groping around in the formulations in the books the way that we do. Their own formulations arise from reality. So what comes low and what comes high? If it comes low, jump over its head. If it comes high, slip under it. I kept contemplating this. Here he was talking about my moods and preoccupations. Some of them come low, some of them come high. You have to watch them to see how you can avoid them. If they come low, jump over their heads. If they come high, slip under them. Do what you can so that they don't hit you. This is the practice. You contemplate right where you're deluded so that you'll know right there. Any other issue is just duck shit and chicken shit. You don't have to go groping after it. That's how you have to take things on in meditation. But actually, it's not a matter of taking. You take them on by abandoning them. This is how the suppositions of language have things all backwards. You let things go. You practice letting go. You don't have to become a stream winner or a once returner. You don't have to make those suppositions. You don't have to be those things. If you are anything, it's a turmoil. If you are this or are that, you are the problem. You are a problem. So you don't have to be anything. There's nothing but letting go and then knowing in line with what things do. When you know in line with what things do in every way, there's no more doubt, and you aren't anything. Think about it in a simple way. If someone yells at you, but you don't rear up in response, that's the end of the matter. It doesn't reach you. But if you grab hold of it and won't let go, you're in bad shape. Why put their words into yourself? If they yell at you, just leave it at that. But if they yell at you over there in the ordination hall and you bring it into your ears while you're sitting here, it's as if you like to suffer. This is called not understanding suffering. You stir things up with your thinking and give rise to all kinds of issues. The practice is actually something short and not at all long. If you say it's long, it's longer than long. If you say it's short, it's shorter than short. When it comes to the practice, you can't use your ordinary ways of thinking. You need to have patience and endurance. You need to make an effort. Whatever happens, you don't have to pick it up and carry it around. When things are a certain way, that's all they are. When we see the Dhamma in this way, we don't hold on to anything. Pleasure we know, pain we know. The Buddha and his Arahant disciples, when they gain awakening, it's not the case that coconut milk sweets aren't sweet for them. They're sweet in the same way they're sweet for us. When the noble ones eat sour tamarind, they squeeze their eyes shut just like us. Do you understand? Things are just the same way they were before, simply that noble ones don't hold on to them or get fixated on them. If you argue with them that the tamarind is sour, they'll say, sour is fine, sweet is fine. Neither sour nor sweet is fine. That's what they'll say. The same principle applies here. When people come and say wrong things, we can hear them and it doesn't matter. We just leave it at that. You can do this even though you're as old as you are now. You can be young. You can get a lot younger. You don't have to carry these things over your shoulder. I've seen some old monks wandering Dhutanga style, but I don't know what they're going for. They carry huge umbrella tents. Old monks don't like small umbrella tents the way the young monks do, you know. They like to carry around big umbrella tents. In the morning they fold up their umbrella tents. As soon as the sun comes up, they fold up their tents. They can't leave them up in the open fields to protect themselves from the wind, for the tents won't stand up to the wind. So they fold up their tents and carry them off under the hot sun. Then in the evening they put their umbrella tents up again. I don't know why. There's no more sun. They wake up the next day and fold up their tents and carry them off under the hot sun again. I did this sort of thing until I got sick and tired of it. I went wandering Dhutanga style but ended up suffering in the jungle. Then I realized that it wasn't for the purpose of suffering in the jungle, so I kept finding my way out of the jungle. That's why I became a find your way out of the jungle monk. And there's a footnote. Here Ajahn Chah is playing with the Thai words for Dhutanga, tudong, suffering in the jungle, tukdong, and finding your way through the jungle, talutdong. Actually, the reason why the Buddha taught us to go into the wilderness is for us to gain discernment. You encounter suffering, you encounter reality, so you can see and understand it, and eventually you get tired of the actions that cause it. It's not that going into the wilderness isn't good. It is good. It gives rise to discernment. Speaking of Dhutanga, it's not a matter of slinging your bowl and umbrella tent over your shoulder, exposing yourself to the sun and wind until you're about to die. the way farmers go to sell water buffaloes in the Central Plains. It's a matter of practice. You learn to be content with little. You learn a sense of moderation in eating, a sense of moderation in sleep. You get to grow thin, to make things shrink, make them shorter, gather them in well. It's like casting a net for fish. You gather one end firmly under your belt, and then you gradually gather the net in, gather it in, gradually. You tie off one end, and then, when you've got your fish, you quickly tie off the other. Tie up the fish behind the gills, and you've got it. You don't have to look elsewhere. You don't have to read a lot of books. Watch your own mind. The basic principles lie right here. This way you can meditate without getting deluded. If people speak to you in a way that grates against your ears, that makes you mad. Tell yourself, it's not for sure, it's inconstant. If you eat something delicious and think, it's really good, remind yourself that it's not for sure. Whatever comes your way, tell yourself, it's not for sure. Why? Because that's where the Dhamma lies. Gather things in the direction of the Buddha, the direction of inconstancy. Inconstancy, that things aren't for sure. That's the Buddha on the level of the mind. If you really see inconstancy, you see the Dhamma. Why wouldn't you see it? For the truth lies right there. If you see the Dhamma, you see the Buddha. These things go in both directions. If you see the Buddha, you see the Dhamma. When you see in this way, you can live anywhere at all. When you sit, the Buddha is giving you a sermon. When you lie down, he's giving you a sermon. Whatever you do, he's giving you a sermon. The Dhamma arises and the Dhamma looks after those who practice it, so that they don't fall into the evil path. When the Dhamma is in charge, the mind is always aware of things. It knows that this is wrong, this is right, this is good, this is evil, this is suffering, this is the cause of suffering, this is the disbanding of suffering, this is the practice that reaches the disbanding of suffering. That's the path. Everything gathers into the path. As you strengthen the path, your defilements decrease. The defilements are like an army, you know. If they increase, the path decreases. If the path gets strengthened, the defilements gradually go away. Their strength decreases. You stay only with what's right. Whatever's wrong, you give it up. Give it all up. And the wrong path peters out. That's when the right path gets established, and you can live wherever you want. Gaining is the same as losing. Losing the same as gaining. There's no problem anymore. The mind is at peace through discernment. When you see in this way, you're not fixated on this or that. If someone brings you something to trade this for that, you're not interested. You don't believe them. That's when things are for sure. Remember this point well. It's like knowing fruits. This is an olive. This is a guava. This is a mango. Once you know them, people can pour them all into a tray, and someone can pick them up one by one and ask you what they are. What's this? A guava. What's this? An olive. What's this? A mango. The person can keep doing this for 100 trays of fruit, 1,000 trays of fruit, and you won't be deceived by any of them. You see a mango as a mango, a guava as a guava. Whatever it is, you see it for what it is. That's when things are for sure. Nobody can deceive you. You can't wander off the path, for everything in the mind is the right path. When you're sitting, you have right view. When you're walking, you have right view. When you're lying down, you have right view. The mind is all the same, always like it has been, at ease, at peace. These sorts of things are hard to describe. Pleasure isn't the highest level of Dhamma. It's peace because it's no longer disturbed by pleasure or pain. It's empty. It stays unfixated, unattached. Wherever you go, it keeps staying that way. For instance, if somebody's mood comes to hit you, you know, Venerable Father, you're just like a dog. You stay at your ease. Once you're sure of yourself, that's the way it is. But if they call you a dog and you really become a dog, biting them, that shows that you're not sure of yourself. You're not for sure. But once you're for sure, you're not anything. Why would you want to be anything? Venerable Father See, Venerable Father Sa, Venerable Father Ma. It's not the case that you had these names all along. They were given to you not all that long ago. Like that 8-precept man over there. Where did he come from? Was he born with a label affixed to him? His parents gave him a name just a little while ago. They call you a person. What's there to get so happy about? If they call you a dog, what's there to be so upset about? Isn't that a sign you're already in sad shape? So we keep on contemplating, keep on looking, until we keep on getting it right. You get it right while you're sitting down, right where you're lying down. Whatever you do, it's right. It keeps on staying right. But if you start arguing about the Dhamma, you can't escape suffering. It's like the piece of iron that's red hot all over. It doesn't have any cool spot. If you touch it on top, it's hot. If you touch it underneath, it's hot. If you touch it on the sides, it's hot. Why is it hot? Because the whole thing is a piece of red hot iron. Where would it be cool? It's the same here. Once you latch on to anything, whatever it is, you're immediately wrong. Everything is wrong. Everything is suffering. If you latch on to what's evil, you suffer. If you latch on to what's good, you suffer. For the most part, the good things are what lead people to be very deluded. They're deluded by what's good. When good isn't just right, it's not good, you know. Have you noticed the rainfall this year? It was so good that it went past just right, flooding people's houses. This is what happens when good goes past just right. The Buddha taught us to be intelligent. If it comes high, slip under it. If it comes low, jump over its head. Drill the hole right in line with the dowel. Take these 3 principles with you. Focus right there, and the problem won't get away from you. This is the genuine truth. This is what it's like. Don't focus on whether you're old or young, or how many days and nights have passed, or which day of the week it is. Just keep working on your mind in this way. In practicing, don't think that you have to sit in order for it to be meditation, that you have to walk back and forth in order for it to be meditation. Don't think like that. Meditation is simply a matter of practice. Whether you're giving a sermon, sitting here listening, or going away from here, keep up the practice in your heart. Be alert to what's proper and what's not. Don't decide that it's okay to observe the Dhutanga practices during the rains retreat and then drop them when the retreat is over. It's not okay. Things don't balance out in that way. It's like clearing a field. We keep cutting away, and then stop to rest when we're tired. We put away our hoe and then come back a month or 2 later. The weeds are now taller than the stumps. If we try to clear away the area we cleared away before, it's too much for us. Ajahn Mun once said that we have to make our practice in the shape of a circle. A circle never comes to an end. Keep it going continually. Keep the practice going continually without stop. I listened to him and I thought, when I finished listening to this talk, what should I do? The answer is to make your alertness a kaliko, timeless. Make sure that the mind knows and sees what's proper and what's not at all times. It's like the water in this kettle. If you tilt it so that there's a long time between the drops, glug, glug, those are called water drops. If you tilt it a little further, the drops become more frequent, glug, glug, glug. If you tilt it a little bit further, the water flows in a stream. What does the stream of water come from? It comes from the drops of water. If they're not continuous, they're called drops of water. The water here is like our awareness. If you accelerate your efforts, if your awareness is continuous, your mindfulness will become full. Both by day and by night, it'll keep staying full like that. It becomes a stream of water. As we're taught, the noble ones have continuous mindfulness. The water is a stream of water. Make your awareness continuous. Wherever there's anything wrong or lacking in any way, you'll know immediately. Your awareness will be a circle all around. That's the shape of the practice. It's not that you have to drive yourself really hard. Some people get really earnest when they sit in concentration. Let my blood drain away. Let my skin split open. If I don't gain awakening, I'm willing to die. They've read that in the biography of the Buddha, but when it comes to them, the body starts pulsating in pain all the way up to the base of the skull. Their determination gradually deflates until they finally open their eyes and look at the incense stick burning in front of them. Gosh, I thought I'd be almost burned out, but there's still a lot left. So they take a deep breath and make the determination that as long as the incense stick hasn't burned all the way out, they won't open their eyes no matter what. But after a while, the pain gets really heavy and dull at the base of the skull, so they open their eyes. Gosh, I thought it'd be all burned out, but there's still a lot left. Eventually, they give up even before the incense has burned out. Later they sit and think, I'm really a sad case. They don't know who to get mad at, so they get mad at themselves. I'm not true to my word. They curse themselves. There's no hope for me. I'm making a lot of bad karma. I'm a denizen of hell. All kinds of things. Why should I stay on as a monk if I can't even do this? All my bad karma is going to eat up my head. They've given themselves a reason to jump ship. Wouldn't it be better to live as a layperson and observe the 5 precepts? They think to themselves and don't tell anyone else. The more they think, the more convinced they are. Why should we get goals? Why should we set goals for ourselves like that? The Buddha taught that when we meditate, we should have a sense of ourselves. Like merchants when they put merchandise into their carts. They have a sense of what they're doing, how many oxen they have, how big and strong the oxen are, how big their carts are. They know that sort of thing, how many sacks of rice they can put in each cart. They know how much to put in line with the strength of their oxen and the strength of their carts. When you practice, it has to be in line with your own strength. Here you have a single cart and your ox is the size of your fist, and yet you want to carry as much as the 10-wheeled truck. You see a 10-wheeled trucks passing, you on the road, and you want to be like them. But you're not a 10-wheeled truck. You're just a cart. It's sure to break down. You're what's called a fruit that's ripe even before it's half ripe, food that's burned even before it's cooked. So in the end, those earnest meditators end up disrobing. After they've disrobed, they start thinking again. You know, back when I was ordained, things were going a lot better than they are now. Maybe I should ordain again. That path was a lot brighter. It wasn't as dark as this. After that, they think about it for a while, they ordain again, make a fresh start. At first, they look like they're going to do well, like a new boxer who doesn't yet need water. Their strength is good, they're diligent, they make good progress, but then they gradually grow weaker. It looks like I'm going to fail again. This is my second time around, and it still looks like I won't make it. If I stay in the robes, I'm going to break down even more. I'd better disrobe. I'm not going to get anywhere. Some of the Buddha's disciples ordained and disrobed up to 7 times. They're now taking those who ordained and disrobed 7 times as their model. Don't take their bad example as your model. They had to wait until their 7th time before they gained awakening. Maybe if I give it my all 7 times, I'll gain awakening like them. They keep talking on nonsense. There's nothing in the Dhamma taught by the Buddha that lies beyond human capabilities. Don't go focusing on things you can't see, heaven or Nibbana up there in the sky. All the Dhammas we need to know and see, the Buddha explained in full. As for things you can't see, don't pay them any mind. Don't pay them any attention. Look instead at the present. How are you leading your life? If suffering arises, why is there suffering? What's going on? How can you settle the problem right there? What are you stuck on? It's attachment and fixation. You grasp the idea that you're better than other people, or equal to other people, or worse than other people, all kinds of things. When you live with other people, you get disgusted with them. This person is acting badly. That person is acting badly. You go off to live by yourself and don't know who to get disgusted with, so you end up getting disgusted with yourself, just like you said. That's the end of the talk. what struck me this time reading it was how important the bit about like wherever the defilement arises or wherever your delusion is, like that's, go into that. Sometimes it can feel like the defilement is so big and powerful, or the delusion is so sort of overwhelming or confusing. But that just means that it's like it's that much more obvious where you need to do your work, or it's like not to be scared of that or be overwhelmed by it, but to use that as your guide and go into it.
Sometimes I think people might think it's a bit confusing because he says that at the same time he's saying if it comes high, go low. If it comes low, go high. And it's sort of like that almost has kind of a dodging the difficulty. But I think the two of them combined actually make a lot of sense because you're dodging them in a sense that you're not buying into them and going with them, but you're also going into them directly rather than just kind of treating them tangentially. Go straight down to the actual defilement and don't get bought into the appearance. That's a nice description from Ajahn Tongrat.
I had a question about Sankhara, Ajahn.
About?
Sankhara.
Sankhara?
Yeah.
Sure, related to the topic.
It's midnight tea, seems a bad time, so I didn't know when else to bring it up.
Give it a shot.
So I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. If Sankhara is just intention, or if it's intention combined with one or more of the other four aggregates into a formation. Because if mental Sankhara is feeling and perception, it would imply that mental Sankhara can't just be feeling or just be perception, because then Sankhara and those other khandhas are the same thing, and that doesn't make any sense, because why would you even divide them? So it strikes me like, for example, in that case, Sankhara has to either imply that it's feeling combined with volition, or perception combined with volition, that's what makes it Sankhara, mental Sankhara, or does it mean it all has to be...
Sankhara is a really broad word that's used differently in different places.
Okay.
At its broadest, it just means like a thing, or a fabrication, or, anything related to the conditioned world. Just like in our morning chanting, Sabbe Sankhara Anicca, all things are impermanent.
I thought that might be the case. In this case, he's just dividing up the pie in a different way, or he's just...
Well, it's just using the term in a different way. So, that in some sense, in some circumstances, it's used just to refer to anything within the realm of the conditioned, anything within the realm of fabrications. But then in the five khandhas version, or use of the word sankhara, it's generally related to fabrications related to volition, with volition as a root to it, volitional formations, as the fourth khandha. And then, the citta sankhara, perceptions and feelings, is kind of almost another use, and sometimes it's like, I think Luang Por likes to use the translation, conditioners, that their perceptions and feelings are conditioners of the mind, rather than volitional fabrication. I mean, they're volitional in the sense that they're the result of volitions. Perceptions and feelings are kind of vipaka in that sense. The resultant manifestations based on past karma. The perceptions and feelings it's referred to in Citta Sankhara, as far as I understand it.
That's quite helpful, actually. So that's just a different kind of use of the term, and because I wasn't quite figuring out how to mix them. Okay.
That's how I understand it. That's how I've heard it explained, say, by Luang Por. Yeah.
And in the five khandhas, would the Sankhara term would it have to be volition combined with one of the other Sankharas into a formation, or could it just be volition? Like, could you translate Sankhara in the fifth, in the khandhas, as just volition?
I think some people do. I mean, that's the major thrust. Volition Chaitana being kind of the underlying generator of that experience. And sometimes it's referred to as mental formations too, but as generally that volitional thrust that creates some sort of action or mental formation, mental thrust. Because all the other kinds of sankharas, like form is a sankhara, rupa kanda is a sankhara in the broader sense. So usually, as far as I understand, again, that fourth kanda is referred to more as a mental fabrication with volition as a base to it, like thinking. The thought process that's in reaction to some experience, that's a generator of kamma, a productive kind of mental activity.
That's helpful. Actually, and I think Luang Por Chah talked about it like one of those crystal sets where you put a crystal in a supersaturated solution, and suddenly everything forms around it. And similarly, like you put a sankhara, like an intention, into the mix, and suddenly all those other khandas can like sort of, they make a form around it, kind of, or that's the formation kind of. I don't know if that rings true, but it sounds like a similar idea to the base of, volition is the base for those other things.
Yeah, in that use of the word.
Thank you.
One thing that's helpful to understand about the five khandas too is that they're conjoined, not disjoined. So it's not like one arises and the others arise around it. They all arise together. They're nama rupa. The five khandas is a description of nama rupa, is my understanding.
Yeah. Particularly in reference to the formation of a human being. Like, there can be some distinction between mentality and materiality, but in our general basic day-to-day experience as a human being, they really much affect each other quite a bit.